So another day and it was dry, so I got the belt sander out and sanded off all that polyfiller you saw in the end of the last video. And it does it quite well, as you can see. So then it was a case of holding it on the workmate so I could sand it with the orbital sander. I didn't really flush it all off. It doesn't really matter. I don't think it does anyway. But with this, I can also take the arises off, or the worst of them off. It's a lot quicker. So there we are. And yeah, worked very well. Held it there when it held. And then it was a case of using the workmate again to paint them after, finishing off round the bottom where the big sander wouldn't do. And I just decided, to try and get as much painted as I could. So as you can see, it is drying here. So yeah, I held that on there and painted what I could and left it. And then you can see it's drying off. It dries very quickly. It must be the weather conditions, I think. And yeah, this looks okay, but it's going to be right down on the floor. So while that was all drying, I went in and I thought I'd paint all the screw holes out. And while I was there, I thought I might as well just seal the underside of this. So that's what I did. Still drying here, obviously. And then you can see, with the screws filled in with the paint, it looks a lot neater. I know it won't be seen, but, whatever. And of course, it's always time for a mug of tea, isn't it? Absolutely, even with it all painted there now. So I then went back outside and painted the bits I couldn't paint before. So worked well. So I got them all painted up, which I was pleased to do. And put the lid back on the tin and went and washed the brush out, as you do. And they look alright. This is obviously still dry and you can see the different shades. So there's one, and I left it like this overnight to dry. And although it looks like it's touching the unit, it was actually on the handle, so it wasn't actually touching. And I put the cramp on here at this end. This is where the joint is, to try and level it out. Now the next day was a bit wet, I would say, as you can see here, and it was hammering down this morning. And once it's rained in the morning, I don't tend to do anything because everything's soaking wet and I just don't want to take stuff out there. So what could I do? So I thought, right, well, it's time to maybe get these feet on. So as you can see, I marked them out with a pencil, and then because it's right on all this timber, I just did a nail punch to get the drill to stay where it should be. And as you can see, I drilled it out. Few tools to do it with. So I screwed the screws in to this level with the drill, and then I just hand tightened it, because you can move it about with a countersunk screw, which is what I did. So it worked reasonably well, I think. Yeah, so there was the one done, and it was a case of another three, wasn't it? And then I wanted to try them under, so I got all this stuff in the way, haven't I? So yeah, so there you are with all the feet on, all ready to go. So move the heater, all the stuff out, and move the heater out of the way, because I wanted to keep the tripod up in there. That's where most of the stuff went. It worked reasonably well. Yeah, not too bad. And yeah, we are. We've got the first one under. Seemed to work quite well, I must admit. Adjusted it as needed. And as you can see, pretty level. Yeah, pretty level indeed. And even back to front, And what was odd is where the leg wasn't under, right at the end, it was still pretty good. So got that under. And yeah, pleased how it looks, I think. I don't know what you think. Might well paint the adjustable feet in. I don't know. We'll see. You have to find out in a minute, won't you? And look, the sun's come out. That's nice. It wasn't before. So as you can see, I've got the workmate set up here to do those feet, so I'm hoping that will do it. And I've just noticed that my watch, that it is just coming up to 10 o'clock, so I think it's almost time for my mug of tea. So let's just finish out here. And as you can see, I've got the little benches out again. They're very, very useful, I must admit, and of course they're quite light. So I've got this on here, and I'm going to clean up the edge of this again, like I did with that one. And then it's a case of marking it up and drilling it, really, which I'll take a few photos of. I think it's a lot easier with the photos than doing this. But yeah, looking good. And it was fairly easy to move out, you know, although it's long and not very wide, it's not particularly heavy. So as you can see, I've put one of those clamps on here just to keep it there, because obviously with no board on, it's quite light and it could slide off, so just to be safe. And yeah, much as it was really. And as you saw, I had these legs in yesterday. Well, they weren't fixed, they were just sitting there. So I do need to fix them. So I've decided, I think I'm going to use these little blocks. I've got quite a few of these. And it's only just got to be held, you know, it's a weight down, isn't it? So they're not going to go anywhere. It's more dangerous that you're likely to maybe kick those bottom feet. And at this end, although I could put a screw right through here into it, if I can get my finger in shot, there we are. I think I'll use these again. So I've got some fairly longish screws, about 35mm long, so they should hold quite well. So now that I've set this up, and I've actually marked where this one goes, because I've tried the square on it, make sure it was square across, which it is. So, and even marked where these go. So if you're wondering why I'm doing it this way round, I thought I'm going to pull those up like that so that it's actually above the surface, and with the two screws there it will hold it square, and then just push a screw right down into this leg. Now I might even use a longer screw because it's obviously into end grain. So we'll see how we go. Sorry, I'm shaking a bit. So all ready to go here. So let's go outside and see what's happening out there. Now I'm pleased to have done this because I can now take these leg frames out and maybe paint those adjustable feet, because I think they look a bit glaring, don't they, with the white showing. Yeah, I'm going to give them a paint. I think I'll probably leave the adjusters the black, but yeah, I'm going to paint the rest of it. So with me stuff out here, got me tea, lovely. Sun's still out, it's lovely as well. And I got the paint, and I'm just using this very tiny little brush. And I've used this fine flour paper to give it a little rub, not much. And as you can see, I think that looks a lot better. So it's drying magically quickly. So it's just a case now of doing the other three, and then go in and having a go at the panels and maybe screw those blocks on. So I'll do a few photos of that, and let's see. And I took the labels off of these. They had the B&Q label, but I sort of stuck it there. Never see it, will you? And I can always check and see what they were. But going well, going well. So I just painted the rest, obviously, and left them out in the sun to dry. And like I say, I was surprised how quickly they did, to be honest. And yeah, looks all right, I think. What do you reckon? So then I went in and got these blocks on, and I thought the easiest way to do it was like this, with a block of wood clamped with a spacer, and then just put the screws in, and they work very well. And then, believe it or not, it was lunchtime. So made me lunch up and sat out in the sun again. Great. Well, hello everybody. I'm out here with me lunch and a normal ham sandwiches and me cake, and obviously me mug of tea. And as you can see, it's really turned out really nice. It's quite warm out here. I've still got the woolly on, but I could actually be sitting out here with the shirt. If you were wondering about the house next door, which is behind the hedge here, he's not finished it by the end of February. He may get it done by the end of March. We'll have to see. He's still got quite a bit of work to do on the outside. But I did ask him the price that it was going up at, and if you're interested, it was at £235,000. So yeah, you know, it's not too bad, and probably sounds very cheap if you live in other parts of the country. But yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Anyway, I'm going to carry on now with me lunch. And then it's a case of getting that drilled over there with the old board and getting it all back together again. So next job was to drill the under panels. So the front and the back were fairly easy, just slide it across. But obviously the middle ones you need to avoid everything. So I did it with a bit of a rod really. And then I didn't need as many screw holes in this, so I just did them about a foot apart where I could, without getting in the way of anything. It worked quite well, quite well. So then I got all my leg frames in there now, and they're all nice and dry. I think they do look better. Blends, doesn't it? So it's just a case of holding this one up tight. So just use that cramp. Those cramps are really useful, I'm sure you'll agree. And whack my screws in, and it was done. Now obviously it needs to be away from the thing because I've got the back seam to go in there as well, haven't I? So I checked it for the level, which it was. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Now I actually think that this will sink when I put the weight on it, and it was all right back to front as well, so great. So then I wanted to actually screw the panel on here, so I brought it in, set it on, make sure I get it round the right way, hence the mark, and then I screwed it all on, which went very well indeed, and I brought it out here to clean up the edge, because if you remember I said some of it was a bit in and out, and that M1, I don't know why that was like that. I must have cut it bad, I suppose. So I thought in this particular case I'll just use the belt sander. It did make a bit of dust, I must admit, and I just checked it a bit with me level, my square rather, because obviously the back seat's got to go on here. All done, and then I started painting. I painted it all round. I thought I might as well. And yeah, you know, you can see the joint, but on the front I sort of let it dry and then gave it another nice thick coat, so it shouldn't look too bad. So it's this, the station. I've forgotten to do the bit of extended out, but maybe I haven't. If I wanted to extend it out the same as the boards that I've just made, I'd need some more of the 15mm wood, but I wouldn't have needed much, so I didn't think it was worth buying that. So I've come up with another idea, and if I pan round a little bit in the sunlight, I've still got some of this timber from the main frame, which is right at the bottom. And what I'm proposing to do is, if we go down here, obviously the thickness of the MDF down, and make up a frame with this stuff, sort of so forth. So we'll see how we go. Well, hello everybody. Well, I've had a good day today, and the sun's still out, although I'm in the shade now, so I'm pleased about it, to be honest. I'm hot. I've got my 3 o'clock tea, so I've cleared up everything away, well, as far as I can, and we'll pop in there and I'll show you what I've done. I think that's good enough for today. And whether I do some more tomorrow, we'll have to see. I think the weather is due to still be dry, although to be honest a lot of it now is going to be inside. So we're going to have a look at that, shall we? So I've still got some tea to drink, but let's go and have a look at what I've done now. So here we go, very gently, and going through the French doors, shall we call them, or patio doors. Used to be called French doors, didn't they, in the old days? So here we are. So I don't know how well you can see this because it's all in shade, isn't it? But yeah, I'm fairly happy with what I've done here. Looks okay. As I say, I've still got the option if I want to put a fascia on this, but remember this has got to be tipped upside down from time to time to get all the innards in. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? So I think, I don't know what you think, but I think the legs look a lot better having the white painted. Do you agree with me, or should I left them white? Anyway, I'm not stripping it all off. So the heater's there when I need it. Now, I do wonder whether the heat coming up will affect the boards here. I don't know, but we'll have to see, won't we? So anyway, I thought I'm going to make the little extension bit for the station while the weather was holding up. So I got the workmate out and I cut a new bit. I cut a new bit of the 9mm board for what I wanted, and then it was a case of cutting down some timber. Now I decided not to use the one that I did earlier. I thought it was a bit over the top, so I just used some. Actually, they're bed slats, old bed slats. So I cut them down as I needed, really to take the round off because there was a big round edge. And I decided I would use a bit of that timber to hold it on. So there you see it, and later on you'll see it a bit better. And there it was made up. All filled up ready. So I did this just for the end of the day, and it was a case of waiting and carrying on with it the following morning if the weather was up to it. So yes, the first thing to do before I get any track out is to get these uncouplers let into the MDF, and you saw that I bought the Dremel, so I'm going to use the Dremel to a certain extent, and then rather than, I haven't got the attachment to make it into a little router, which would have been ideal, but I've got these hand tools. Oh yes, we can do it with the hand tools, and this is the normal full-size router, which might be a bit too big for this, but I've also got this little one which is called an old woman's tooth, and you can probably tell why. And amazingly, this has been up in the loft for a long time, and it's actually set to the exact depth of this plate, which is weird, isn't it? So I don't know if you saw how these work, but they actually have a metal plate on the bottom to make it even stronger. So that's why they're so thick. So we'll have to see how it goes, won't we? So plenty to get on with. And if I have my vacuum cleaner, I can keep it fairly clean and tidy, hopefully. So there's the batten that I used to hold this on, and I beveled the ends so that it would locate it, which it does very well. So these beveled go up behind the edging, so to speak. And I thought I might as well paint it, so I sanded it all up. Got me tea as usual, of course. Wouldn't be there without me tea, would I? And just painted it up after, you know, taking the arises off and doing what I needed to do. Came up reasonably well. I also painted inside as well. I thought I might as well seal it. And yeah, it's looking alright. So I thought I'd try to experiment a bit with this acrylic paint I bought previously. So I thinned it down 50-50 in a little container that you can see there, the purple one. And I thought I'll just paint out where the building goes. So I put a bit of masking tape along where the edge of the platform should be, and painted it out. And then I put that back on after it dried, and gave that a coat. I think it's all right. It took quite a long time to dry, but yeah, I'm pleased with it. I think that looks okay. And then there it is with the building on, and because it was thinned down, I've almost got texture in, you know, the tarmac already, albeit probably the wrong colour, but never mind. But I was interested to see how it would work. So as I showed earlier, the next job is to start letting these uncouplers in. And I took the masking tape off the big router because that must have been there for years for protecting another job. And then I'll have to see if I use all what's her names? So that's it for this update, and watch out for the next one. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.